This is the W02, and last time out we took a look at the W01 and the legacy that was left from Braun GP. The fact that they didn't have any funding through the 2009 season carried over into 2010. And of course in 2011 with the W02, it was a time of restructure at the team. They made some bold decisions, but the fundamentals weren't right. And in fact, one of the senior engineers wasn't that complimentary about this particular car. The restructure at Brackley was just half of the story. Of course, a lot of the developments on this car was made by our colleagues over at Brixworth. Now, the plant at Brixworth was invested in by Mercedes in the mid-90s, but by the mid-2000s, it was solely owned by Mercedes and Daimler. And they were supplying some of the race-winning engines in some of the most iconic cars, such as the McLaren Mercedes and also a certain young driver from Stevenage. But when you actually look at it, first of all, you notice this iconic front wing. Of course, the regulations had changed on the front wing for this season, but something you don't usually get to see is the three-pointed star down here at the front. Now, this is one of the most important things to our sister and parent company, Daimler and Mercedes. But for this season and the following season, we had a 3D raised finish. Later on in the series, we'll take a look at the process of how we airbrush that on now. And the first race out was Australia. It wasn't a great success. It was a double DNF. But in China, that fighting spirit had brought them back. They were absolutely gutted to have gone all the way to Australia and come back with nothing. But in the Chinese Grand Prix, they were running with the car under-fueled. Right towards the end of the Grand Prix, they had to start fuel saving, and that meant that they achieved 5th place. But one of the true stories of engineering on this car was the KERS system. The development of the KERS system was fundamental in the team's success in 2014. Of course, KERS was introduced in 2009, and all of the teams decided not to use it in 2010. But when it made a return in 2011, it wasn't all plain sailing. In fact, the first test of a unit was on a Tuesday, and the guys at Brixworth were still working on it on the Sunday night and into the early hours of Monday morning. When the unit was finally signed off of the test rig, the guys went home, got changed, and flew out to the test with the only unit they had in existence. The W02 wasn't the most successful car, and in fact, it is the only Mercedes to have not scored a podium in a Formula One season. But there was an iconic race, and that was at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. Most people remember it for being the longest Grand Prix in history and some incredible overtakes on the last lap. But it was the bold decisions by the strategy team here at Mercedes that actually put Michael Schumacher at the back of the grid after the red flag and before the restart. And those bold decisions enabled him to fight his way through the field and end in P4. Next time out, we take a look at the W03 and our first win as a modern Mercedes F1 team. We also take a look at the first time a German F1 driver has won with a German team.